Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm sorry this was a little bit of a last minute thing, but we're excited to get to be speaking with Josh Kraft tonight. And I want to give kind of an update on what this is. I can hear myself. I want to kind of give an update on what this is before we get started. We have done podcasts with most of the candidates, including Josh, and those are going up. But there are more candidates to come, and you'll be seeing those all over our Facebook and Spotify, including Josh's coming up soon. But, in addition to the questions we asked there are questions that we wanted to get to that we just didn't during that interview. And so this is kind of a supplemental to that. And hopefully it's going to give you all a better chance to know Josh tonight. So I think I said it, Josh Kraft, you're running for Amarillo City Council Place 1. For those who haven't heard you speak yet, why don't you just take a minute, tell us about yourself and why you're running?
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Josh Kraft. Of course, I'm a husband, a father to two children. Kind of my jobs is I'm a lieutenant for Randall County Fire Department, full time there. Run a small business, and I'm also an instructor at Amarillo College Fire Academy. And kind of the reasons why I'm running are, it's just been really disheartening with all the division the past 2 years, and just seeing kind of the us versus them style culture. And I really think that, I can get in there and just help change that, especially coming from a public service background to where, I've dedicated basically my life to serving others, and just kind of help shift that culture back and help regain that trust in our elected officials.
That's really important. So, you talked a little bit about your experience with being a firefighter, and that's, that first responder experience is something a lot of other candidates don't have in this race. Is there a unique benefit you think voters could see if you got elected with that kind of experience?
I think on that is, I've spent most of my career, helping other people get where they need to be. So sometimes I have a little issue of kind of talking about myself, and explaining exactly what I can bring. But, looking on that public safety background and being a fireman, I think a lot of the decision-making capabilities, I have to make decisions based on facts and data, and they can't be knee-jerk reactions, because the decisions that I make at work ultimately are life or death decisions for not only, the guys I work alongside with, but also the citizens I serve. So I think decision making is one of them, and I do have experience, operating within a taxpayer funded budget. So, with the programs that I run at work, I have to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars and sit there and ask myself, is this in the best interest of citizens, and in the best interest of the budget? And on that too, just back to that, serving others mentality. That's really all I know. I don't have any sort of agenda I'm trying to push. I really just want to serve people, and I think that's kind of what we've been missing in the recent years, because we can look back and, like, the Civic Center is a hot topic. Going behind voters' backs, and just morally it's not right. And I have a strong set of morals and ethics that I hold in myself, and I hold myself accountable. And that's kind of and I can go on with some other stuff, of course, like leadership, just others before self, and surrounding myself with people that we can all make a decision together, but at the same time have those hard discussions, and still be in a professional manner. So yeah, that's kind of what, in a nutshell, I would say I could bring to City Hall with just a public service background, and being able also to, when those scenarios come up, give an insight, to help other council members or help the public understand, or, if the fire or police are, needing this in the budget, or, we're going to have to fund this, kind of already having a base idea or understanding of it, I think could go a long ways.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit. Is there a specific experience with your involvement with the fire department that you think has uniquely qualified you for this job?
I would say, just that service mindset, I
Mhm.
think that's probably one of the ones that would qualify me, and along the lines, like I mentioned earlier, with some of the budgeting capabilities, and just that good stewardess of taxpayer dollars.
Sure. Well, I want to ask you about the Civic Center. We talk about this on the podcast, and so I don't want to spoil it too much for when that episode comes out, but I'm sure this is something you've already heard about at the forums. Um, the Civic Center issue is not going away. People are still talking about it. It's a pretty divisive topic this election. What's your position on the Civic Center? Where do we go on the Civic Center, and how do we pay for it?
So, obviously with the Civic Center, I'm by no means against, increasing quality of life and things of that manner. What I do disagree with is the way they went around it, against the voters and broke that trust. That is one thing. Moving forward, that's obviously something we're going to have to look at, and preferably without, increasing taxes. I think that's one of the big things that and a lot of people don't want, because I'm a taxpayer just like anybody else, and when I get my tax bill every year, it's like, man. But on that too is whenever we start making, whatever council gets in office, and say I'm elected, that's something we're going to have to be big and transparent about, and really sit down and come up with an accurate plan, that isn't going to be hurtful to the taxpayer.
Sure. I want to ask you, I know that, you did your interview with Alex Fairley a few weeks ago. A couple of years ago, he proposed a different type of arena plan in lieu of what the city, ultimately put forward on the ballot. After it failed, the mayor just kind of punted on it, said that wasn't really something they were going to do. But then they tried to do, a civic center project anyway. With that being said, I know a lot of people are kind of watching Alex Fairley as something of a hero for the taxpayers. But, this is still a controversial issue, no matter if we're talking about doing the entire Civic Center, we're talking about just doing an arena. So if it was proposed to do a single arena instead of an entire rebuild of the Civic Center, is that something you would support?
Honestly, I think we'd have to look at it from a standpoint of what's going to benefit the city, and if and if the voters want to approve it. I don't know what that kind of landscape looks like right now, and I'm not the type of person to, make a decision based on, no facts or data. So I think this is something we're really going to have to look at, when that time comes, and talk with the voters and talk with people, and see what route is going to be best.
Sure. Well, along those same lines, with the issue of property taxes, this is one of the toughest issues you're going to tackle, because we're talking about funding the essential services like the police, the fire, the trash collection, animal control, the airport, everything. But at the same time, we have to have a low tax rate. And so I don't want to ask a question that's going to get you in trouble. So I'm trying to word this in a way that makes sense. But what's the path forward on the tax rate? Because the tax rate seems like it just keeps going up, but at the same time, inflation and everything else. So how are you going to tackle that if you're elected?
So I think it's going to come back with teamwork and formulating some sort of plan within the council. I think whenever, say I do get elected, or we're sort of have to dig into the budget and see if there's, excess spending somewhere, or just kind of see where our priorities are. Obviously these core services are our priorities, and I think that's where we've kind of lost that vision. And we need to get back to those, and see from there, once those are prioritized, start looking forward at, the things like a civic center down the road. I don't foresee that, if I do get elected, happening within that term, a new civic center, just because of the way some of the other things are just misprioritized right now, like police, fire, trash services, just things like that.
For funding essential services, is a bond election on the table for you at all?
No, I would say no,
So
not right.
you'll commit today in your first term, no bonds.
No, I would say no.
That's a really important question. So
No, yeah, no, no.
yeah, I'll ask you this. I'm not going to ask you to commit, yes or no on a property tax increase because you just can't right now. And also, I think with the way the debt service is baked in, you're going to have to do some kind of tax increase probably in order to fund the debt that's currently existing. But I want to ask you, looking forward on that bond issue that I just mentioned. The bond elections come up every few years to fund certain expenditures and purchases and, some kind of service for the city. Senator Sparks has introduced a bill to essentially make it to where if you're going to buy something with bond money, like say a police car, for example, the life of that vehicle cannot be shorter than the maturity date on the bond, right? So
yeah.
So
sure,
I think that's an important bill. We'll see if the legislature does anything with it. But just kind of pressing you on that bond issue a little bit on a local level. Do you think that the city should be, using bond money to pay for things like that ultimately aren't going to even outlast the lifespan of the debt?
I don't think so. No, I mean that's just me. I don't think so. Debt is debt, and it's bad. Bad in the sense that we're always going to owe money. It's no different than a household or anything like that. And we always, me personally, I wouldn't want to just keep increasing debt. I don't think it's good.
Sure. Well, I want to ask you one more big question, and then I'll kind of let you, we'll rapid fire some interesting things about you. Not quite like the podcast. I'm not trying to spoil everything. But when it comes to the current city council, Mayor Nelson has gotten, it seems like the bulk of the criticism for some of the problems on the council, but still, there are cohesiveness issues with the entire group. What grade would you give the current city council on an A through F scale as far as their leadership, and how can they improve that? And if you were elected, say you're not going to be elected with the current group of people, but say you were to that place one seat, it was a vacant seat, you won it, you came in working with the same people who are there now, what would you try to do differently to fix the problems that currently exist with the city council?
Well, I think first and foremost is just having a good communication line with each other, and understanding that it's not a dictatorship. We were elected by the citizens of Amarillo, and those are the people we represent, and not try to push any sort of agenda or anything of that manner. I think too is just remember why we're there. We're there for the citizens and the voters. And the decisions that we make always have to be in that best interest, and we always have to listen to them. And I think that's the type of mindset we have to have. And as far as on a ranking scale, with the exception of one person, I would give them an F because they did not listen to the citizens of Amarillo pertaining to the Civic Center. And just that culture, I think because every organization, no matter any type of organization, how big or small, they are a direct reflection of their leadership.
Sure.
And if we're not being good leaders and working together and trying to make the city a better place, then we're not doing our job.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and just run through a couple of short but important questions, and we'll let you go because I don't want to keep you too long. But we have the whole hour, but I'll let you go early. So people are asking this, and I think it's an interesting question to pose to you. What's your party affiliation?
Republican.
Do you vote in the primaries?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you're a good Republican.
Yeah. Got the question a lot, and I think it pertained back to like I think it was a voters list or something. I found it real weird that, it had my wife on there, but it didn't have me. But I distinctly know that my wife would sit in the car with the kids while she went inside and voted. And then I would come back outside, or, she would come back and I would go in and vote. And so, yeah, I'm Republican.
Good, good. Who has been the most influential person in your life when it comes to your leadership style?
Man.
And give us an example if you will.
Yeah, I think probably I would have to say, he's now my fire chief. When I started, he was my company officer, which he was a lieutenant at the time. There's a lot of people. I'd probably put him at the top. And the things that I, envision learning from him, humbleness, how to deal with situations. And the big thing is taking accountability for actions. That's one of the biggest things. There's just some things that you can't describe about a person. It's just how they present themselves on and off duty. Because you're always being watched. How you treat people, how you talk to people, and learning how to bring your crew up with you. And having that mindset of, like with me, I want to see my guys go farther than I ever will. In my position right now, I want to help them achieve where they want to go, whether it's to the top and I stay down here, knowing that I had a little bit of a part in that is what makes it all worth it. Whether, I get the credit or not, or anybody gets the credit or not. And those are some of the things that he taught, and giving people chances, remembering that people are human and do make mistakes. And, just the thought process on a lot of things as well. And like I said, there's a lot of things you can't even describe, without seeing it, visually.
Sure. For people who are wondering, how long have you lived in Amarillo?
I moved here in 2000, so 23 years.
And you're how old? You're 29, right?
28.
28. Wow. So you've lived here almost your whole life.
So I went to, elementary, middle school, high school, college, also here in Amarillo.
What's your college major?
Yeah, so I don't have a college major.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to AC?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I will ask you this. I think we kind of addressed this a little in the interview I did with you on the podcast. Please listen to it when it comes out. But yeah, I'm afraid no one's going to listen now that we've gone through all the questions. But I want to ask you this because I think this is coming up and it is important. Are you supported by Amarillo Matters?
No.
Are you going to seek their endorsement?
No.
And finally, what is one word that you think describes Josh Kraft, the city councilman, best?
One word. It's 3 words. Can I give 3 words?
You can give 3 words, but the first one's going to be the one that matters the most. So,
not a politician.
Not a politician. Yeah, I've seen that on your website. Yep. Well, so do you want to go ahead and direct people to your website, your social media, and everything before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the people that are watching this, please get registered to vote and get out and vote first and foremost. If you want to find a little more out about me, my website is joshisoneofus.com. And then my Facebook page is Kraft for Amarillo City Council.
And I will actually do this really quick. I'm not going to do this for everybody, but I'll do it for Josh because,
yeah. Facebook is actually Kraft for City Council.
Oh, Kraft for City Council. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share this really quick. I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's Josh's website. Can you see that, Josh?
Yes, sir.
There's your website. And I don't know if I can blow it up full screen. It doesn't look like I can from this view, but he's got a lot of stuff about him on here. So if you want to learn more, there's his wonderful family and how to register to vote. It's pretty easy, and he is Josh seems like he's a really good guy. So whether or not you vote for him, he is a good guy. I can attest to that. So, well, we really appreciate you being with us this evening. And like you said, election day, it's coming up. You still have a little bit of time, but it's important. Oh my goodness. It just keeps turning back on where I keep hearing us. But yeah, I told Josh before we started this was kind of a trial run tonight because Zoom has changed some of the stuff for streaming since the last time we had a candidate forum last year that was going to be in person, and then we had that blizzard, you probably remember. And so everything got moved virtually, and the guy who usually helps us with the tech stuff, he had COVID. He got COVID like 2 days before. So we basically had to stumble through with this kind of setup all night, and somehow we survived, but you wouldn't know it from watching me use Zoom tonight. So I really do appreciate you being with us though. And thanks again. We wish you all the best. And for those who are watching, you haven't registered to vote yet, you still have a little bit of time. And remind us all, when does early voting start?
April 6th, I believe. Early voting? April 26th, I believe. You got me on that one. Let me see.
Finally. You couldn't answer one of my questions. It had to be the early voting one.
Let me see. Oh, no. Pretty sure it's 26. Oh, that's right. Last day to register to vote is April 6th.
Yep. Usually 30 days before. So
yeah, I think it's here. All right. Sorry, April 24th.
April 24th. So April 24th, and you have about a week, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. I know some years it's roughly 2 weeks, but I think most city council years it's a week now. So, well, a week to vote, plenty of time to do it. Make sure you get out and turn out. We really want to, at least for the sake of the city, we should have a better turnout than we've had the last few years. So
I hope so. And that's kind of another thing too, is I'd love to turn out a young voting base. I think it's time, and I think this is a big election. This is going to be I wouldn't say once in a lifetime chance, but it's once in a blue moon chance. You're going to have a whole new council, and the way the political landscape is right now, I think a true representative style government.
No, that's really important. And I think, I don't want to editorialize too much over you because I don't know how much you agree on this issue or not. But, especially with what happened with the Civic Center, where a lot of people kind of felt pushed out of the conversation, kind of caused the lawsuit. This is important that people get out and vote because, we've been doing this now we've been doing the newspaper almost 7 years, I guess, pretty close to it. And, what we've kind of noticed is every year we do these and people don't show up and vote. They don't care. And then they want to, sit on Facebook and complain for 2 years. The truth is you don't really, everyone has a right to complain, but it's a lot harder to actually make the case that you're someone who should be listened to when you don't even care enough to actually vote when it's election time. So make sure you get out and vote. It's so important. But yeah, well, Josh, we really appreciate it. We appreciate you being our guinea pig tonight too, helping us work out the kinks in the system.
Best way to learn. I've been a guinea pig on a lot of things. So
well, thanks again. We wish you all the best, and we'll be talking to you at the forum next week.
All right. Thanks.